we'll start our working day on a joint press briefing from Leonid Matyukhin, speaker from the ATO zone, Viktoria Kushnir, speaker of the Ministry of Defense, and Vladyslav Seleznyov, speaker of the General of the Headquarters. Viktoria Seleznyov, good morning, dear friends. I'm happy to see you at our early briefing. Yesterday, Minister of Defense, General Stepan Poltorag, had a telephone call with the Minister of Defense of Lithuanian Republic, Mr. Jozas Aleksasov. Heads of the defense ministers discussed the issues of delivering material support from the Lithuanian side and rehabilitation of Ukrainian servicemen in Lithuanian Republic. Today, General Viktor Moshenko will have a telephone call with General Knut Bartelsson from the Military Committee of NATO. The parties plans to discuss the situation, military and political situation in Ukraine and prospects of the cooperation and future meeting between the Commander-in-Chief of Ukrainian headquarters in NATO in the period between 20 and 22nd of January on the framework of delivery of humanitarian assistance to Ukraine amounts to 42 containers with winter ammunition. This support will arrive on January 28th. The general amount of assistance totals $17 million of US dollars. Also, Australia will deliver its humanitarian aid, and the United Kingdom totaling to $1,800 of USA. Also, during the last week, repairing units of the military forces of Ukraine repaired 230 units of the military equipment, including 12 anti-tank guns, 6 MRLS systems Fagot, 14 tanks T-64, 16 IAMs and 14 IAMs, 2 armed vehicles and other heavy machinery. Besides this, they repaired more than 170 units of automobile vehicles, including heavy carriers, and in general, they repaired 18,823 units of heavy weapon and machinery. 1,161 units of specialized teams in state enterprises has repaired, in particular, 67 aircrafts and 42 helicopters, 24 drones, 622 missile artillery arms, 3,953 units of armed vehicles and machinery, 12,000 auto vehicles, 1,481 unit of specialized vehicles, and etc. Also, state enterprises, modernized aircrafts, helicopters, radio location systems, tanks, and Besides this, during the last year, all the military units received almost 41,000 tons of special petrols for aircraft, of winter fuels, also almost 62,000 of avia petrols, 24,000 petrol for tanks, and more than 2,733 tons of lubricants and other fuels. Also, they received more than 46,000 bulletproof vests, 20,000 bulletproof helmets, more than 42,000 sleeping beds, 130,000 special helmets, 80,000 pair of gloves, 80,000 new field uniforms, 60,000 warm vests, and other ammunition. In January, the Ministry of Defense plans to conclude 282 contracts for supplies of fuels and lubricants, material supplies, foodstuff, amounting to 571.7 million hryvnia. As of today, provision of medicine to military units which carry out their assignments in ATO zone amounts to 85%, medical equipment up to 90%, and first aid kits for 100%. Medical warehouses and the reserve warehouses of the Ministry of Defense has prepared more than 275 units of medical and sanitary equipment, and currently they are working on preparation of more than 130 units of medical and sanitary equipment. During the last week, experts from military medical units and epidemiological service of the Ministry of Defense has carried out more than 12 checks and inspections in more than 4 military camps. The military sanitary doctors carried out 138 tests of foodstuff and potable water. The medical and sanitary situation is assessed as satisfactory. In Rivne region, the first Ukrainian Congress of Medical tutors took place, and volunteers conducted training on the first aid delivery in the ATO zone. The training was delivered by those trainers who have graduated from special training course organized by NATO. In the ATO zone, military forces of Ukraine continues to receive support from Ukrainian people. They receive material supplies, special optical equipment, special uniforms, warm clothes, and medicals. Ukrainian servicemen continues to deliver their assistance to local population in the liberated territories. Thus, in one of the villages close to Mariupol, serviceman from one of the artillery units in Priazovia represented pensioners and orphans, children orphans, foodstuff, and timber for heating. These were the results of the Ministry of Defense work during the last week. Now I give the floor to Mr. Leonid Matyukhin, who will update you on the situation in the ATO zone. Can you hear me? Yes. So will you please inform us on the situation? The situation in the ATO zone continues to complicate. Illegal band formations increase the number and intensity of shelling. Positions of Ukrainian was during the last night, the militants 26 times shelled our positions. The fire of terrorists covered 11 settlements and positions of Ukrainian servicemen near them. As before, they opened a fire from heavy artillery. This night, there were 12 shelling of our positions from Grad systems. Also, they shelled from Grad systems the tower of Donetsk Airport, Krasnohorivka, Nevelska, Opytne-Piske, and 5 times they shelled Tonenka. Near Donetsk Airport, there was a military attack, and during the last day, 24 hours, terrorists 84 times shelled positions of Ukrainian servicemen. The ATO headquarters fixed 9 times of drones appearance, and nevertheless, our servicemen controlled the situation and respond if necessary to the fire attacks. The social, political, and humanitarian situation in the ATO area and neighboring regions remains rather complicated because of the violation of the silence regime by terrorists, taking into account that during the last time no negotiations, including the Normandy format, brought no results, and taking into account that there's a military accounts is not the calming down the and stopping Novorossiya project. This is the continuation of the aggression supported by Russian Federation, and there is a threat to those Ukrainian citizens who carry out volunteer activities to support Ukrainian military. From tomorrow, military forces of Ukraine has started implementation of the peace plan from the silence regime. The terrorists have carried out 878 shelling of Ukrainian positions. In its turn, Ukrainian servicemen sticking with the conditions of the Minsk Protocol and Minsk Memorandum, they restrain the aggression of the enemies and support the security of Ukrainian population living in the east, nevertheless suppress the fire points of the enemy, and all the operations are carried out based on the preliminary plan. Irena Korena, 2+2 TV channel. Probably you know, I would like to ask a question about rotation of our servicemen in Donetsk airport. The latest rotation was done via Donetsk, and who suggested this way of rotation, and whether this influences the numbers of our servicemen. The rotation is carried out in the way that under control of the OSC. All the servicemen who arrive to Donetsk airport, they have to pass by the positions of the militants. There are no losses among them. This scheme was suggested by the ATO headquarters, and during the latest period, no losses among those militants who were rotated to this area. And during the attacks and the combats in that area, whether there were any losses of Ukrainian servicemen against the moment of rotation, taking into account that recently the militants has considerably increased their activities around Donetsk airport. We have losses among Ukrainian service, but these are losses because of the military attacks on the airport. Dynamics as in the losses which defend Donetsk airport depends on not on the process of rotation and the scheme of rotation, but it is dependent on the military situation. Ostrov Information Agency recently, Zaharchenko stated that he won't allow any further rotations of Ukrainian servicemen in the area of Donetsk airport. Do you know about this? Yeah, sure, we know about this, but nevertheless, the ATO headquarters will ensure safe rotation of the Ukrainian servicemen around Donetsk airport. We have the pattern when Ukrainian servicemen attacked militants and fired to get access to the airport via runway of Donetsk airport. But we try to escape this. Thank you very much, Vladyslav and Leonid, and our regular briefing will be tomorrow at the same time at 9 a.m.